Boom. Hater out. Hater. I have 2 words for you, Peter.
Group pod.
No. I don't care about these jamokes. I have 2 words for you, Peter. Saquon. Barkley. All right, Lloyd. Welcome to the pod.
Should that be the podcast title?
Welcome to the pod. Welcome to the league. Before
Thank
you
you.
joined, me and Pete were chatting about the trade. He feels as though I took advantage. I disagree with him. Christian and Jeff felt like you needed to describe why you made this trade versus all the other trades that apparently everyone in the league claims they're sending you all their best players. So give us your thought. What happened? Walk us through what happened. Why did you pull this trigger with me? What was the thought behind it? Let's hear it.
So it was a little overwhelming coming into the league. I've never been part of the league. Everyone's nailing me with a million trades. I'm like, can I at least take a deep breath and like actually look at the team I'm inheriting here and like see what's going on, you know? And then rosters got cut, and you know, I felt like after that, once I started looking to see kind of who I wanted to draft and all that stuff, I was like, you know what, like I was willing to part ways at that point with Saquon, you know, and you know, DeVito said, is he available? And I was joking around with him with the Mackey thing, but at the time I didn't want to trade anyone at the time. Like I wanted to like literally like evaluate my team, see what's going on. And then, you know, you came to me after final rosters and I was like, I wanted to make a deal. I wanted to do it. And I thought it was a fair trade. I want picks, and you know, you can ask Ennis. We've talked about it a million times. I'm not a big fan of guys that have gotten injured or do get injured. I want the guy that's going to see the field, you know? So I thought with what you were offering, not knowing what Saquon was going to come back as, or if he was even going to be back week 1, you know, God forbid I look back on it, and I thought it was fair knowing what we know now, and say he comes back and he's not even half the player he was, you know? Then I really made on the deal.
Can someone recap the trade? What was the
trade,
final?
If you look at the players, it was Saquon for Miles Sanders.
Okay.
And then I gave Lloyd my 1st round pick next year. I also gave Lloyd my 3rd round pick the following year. And I asked Dan to give me his 5th round pick next year.
Dan, why'd you cave on the 5th?
It's not next year. It's not going to make a difference to me. I got at least 2 more years of trying
his
to.
5th round pick next year, he's not even going to keep that guy. So he essentially told me it was a useless pick for him.
Mike, how concerned are you about Miles Sanders now that he's off your team?
I mean, he's going to go off next year. Knowing what I know about the things that I do, I think for me, I made the point all offseason. My team is loaded. So for me to go out and get a guy like Saquon, I could care less about my 1st round pick next year. I'm trying to win right now, and my team is positioned to win right now.
Ennis, do you think he puts it in a position to win right now?
Absolutely. I think the only thing that I have a problem with Lloyd's logic, where, you know, the injured guy, he wants a healthy guy. Miles Sanders only played 12 games last year.
That is true. And his coaching staff hates him.
Yeah.
No.
Hates him, Kaleli.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think you guys are discounting. Last year, Miles Sanders, if you did a redraft league, was like the 6th pick of a redraft league. And he last year got dinged up, and then he was.
Yeah, and Saquon Barkley was the 1st pick.
Yeah, and he tore his ACL. Like Miles Sanders wasn't as hurt as Saquon Barkley was. I don't know. Welcome to the league, and
he's also a younger guy too, Mike. I didn't want, you know, Pete, no offense, I didn't want Derrick Henry. Like he's probably got 3 years left. That doesn't mean no good.
That makes sense.
3 years.
I agree.
3 good years. Good years.
Lloyd, you at that point you were in the league for 3 days. Like you're already thinking that far ahead. I'm very impressed.
I agree. All right, so let's move beyond.
I didn't come here to bake cookies.
Hey, it sounds like you're broadcasting from Mars. I'm not gonna lie, but other than that, everything's good.
He needs to charge his earpods. That's the problem. So let's move beyond. So we literally just finished the draft.
Yeah.
I just want to know like reactions to it. Pete, my first reaction was like, you nailed it.
Thank you. Yes. I looked at that. Listen, if there's 9 guys I know, it's these guys. I'm not gonna lie.
And so I want to know if, and I'll pose this to the group. I'll start with you, Pete, because you're my number 1. Who won the draft?
You know, let's get somebody else's opinion. Right now, I'm populating the list right now. We can do pick by pick on the roster list. Just give me a second. Go to Christian.
I know who I think Darian thinks won the draft. Darian, who won the draft?
On mute.
No comment.
No, he's on mute.
Rookie move.
Guys, this is an easy conversation. Innes, I don't want to call Innes.
I like CJ's first 2 picks.
Okay. Lloyd, who won the draft? This is easy. Who won the draft, guys?
Who is it? You?
Mike, honestly, I don't know enough about people's teams and whatnot and what they needed. I don't.
Guys, you're overcomplicating it. Jeff Innes won the draft.
Yep.
Get
Jeff
out of
Innes
here.
won the draft because there was
Why?
one game changer that was picked in the draft, and that was Najee Harris. And if
Yeah.
you look at what Innes did, he picked the best player in the draft. And then the rest of the draft, he just made smart picks. And again, I will say it, the Marvin Jones pick was, to me, the personification of where Jeff Innes is in the league. He is, I don't think my rankings will reflect this. Jeff Innes is making the playoffs in 2021. I'm calling it today. And Najee Harris cements that answer for me.
Oof, Mike.
Jeff, your response.
So obviously Najee was the obvious one pick.
Obvious.
And you guys
Easily
talked
the best,
about it
easily the best player in the draft.
easily, head and shoulders. And you guys talked about, the trade I made with Casey. And when I was sitting there at the 2 pick, I love Jamar Chase coming out. Stud. I had Burrow. And then all this stuff with him dropping balls, not playing last year. I didn't want to have to make the pick at 2 between a bunch of guys. So I sat back at 4. And then the Gus Edwards thing was fantastic because I get Javonte to fall to me.
I knew it. I
Loved it.
knew it,
Yeah.
Kaleli.
So let's get the response. I actually really want to get to Darian's response on this.
All
I
right.
find Christian to be one of the better players in the league.
We know. You got a crush on him.
Would he have picked, if he owned Brian Casey's team, would he have picked Gus Edwards with the 2nd pick in the draft? Christian?
I think I would have, only because he's such a sack of crap. He has to win. But
No. But if it was you, not if you were Brian. If you were you,
like, he needs to win. He's been in the league for 25 years and he stinks. Like, win, right? So yeah, you gotta go for it. But I think we're overlooking the fact of what a horrendous trade Innes' Dak Prescott trade was. Because if this was any other time, we'd be burying him. That was a horrible trade. for
horrible
Innes.
trade. Agree.
Recap
Horrible
it.
trade.
Wait, what happened? What was the trade? Recap.
Oh, it was terrible. What is he doing?
Oh, see, I
Remind me.
didn't think Innes made the worst trade this offseason.
What
Uh-oh.
was?
The Casey trade.
Which one?
I would not have
Jefferson?
traded Justin Jefferson straight up for Derrick Henry.
Love it.
Uh,
Nothing makes me
And
happier
DeLuca
than hearing
got
that.
3 picks because of that.
Nothing makes me happier than hearing that. Thank you.
So, Christian, why do you think the trade that Innes made was so bad?
I think you covered it. Quarterbacks are pretty interchangeable, and he traded a ton for Dak Prescott. The guy's injured, and I don't see him as like. I think there's 2 quarterbacks to move the needle, and he's not one of them. So
So, Pete-
I mean,
Pete,
Yeah.
you know why this is cool right now?
Why?
Guess who I'm going to call on next?
Who?
Jeff, your response?
This is great. Jeff, rebuttal. This is like part of the
No.
interruption.
Yeah. So I think if you
I'm
look
Tony
at it,
Reale. Pete, I'm Tony Reale
Yeah.
right now without the hair. That's me.
Yeah, you're like the Portuguese version of him.
if you look at the trade just as a trade in the whole, I'd say I definitely lost. But I'll walk you through my logic. I
let's
love
hear
the
it.
double
Let's hear
pointers.
it.
I love having Dak and CD. I think Dak, before he, broke his entire leg last year, was on pace to be one of maybe the best players in fantasy. He's on pace for almost 6,000 yards. Their defense stinks. They're going to throw the ball. But then, like I said before, I didn't want to have to make the decision at 2. And by dropping back to 4, letting other people make the decision, I got the guy that if I stayed at 2, I probably would have taken Javonte anyways. So now I get Dak, Javonte. I give up a pick next year, which I already have 2 firsts. Probably going to be a shit pick anyways if I do well like I'm hoping.
Mhm.
So there we go.
Pete,
Ennis,
mark
why
that
were
in.
you why'd you
Pete,
shy
mark
away
that
from
way.
the
Pete,
second
mark that in. Mark that in. Mark that in.
I will. Ennis, why'd you shy away from the second pick? What happened? Like, you traded it before ETN got hurt. What happened?
I wouldn't have taken ETN. I
Really?
wanted to take Jamar Chase or Williams. I love Chase, and then his preseason has just been garbage. And I couldn't buy it with their offensive line being not very good. Burrow coming back from injury. Just didn't want to invest in Chase. I'd rather take the running back.
All right, touche. Good explanation.
I'm on team Darian on this one, obviously. Hey Pete, you blocked all the cells. How do I unhide the cells on?
Oh,
I'm
I'm populating the list on the other side. Can you just give me 1 second? If you go on the roster tab, you can see everybody's pick as they're going down. Just give me. I got one more round, and I'll.
All right. Well, I wanted to go through the first round, just get people's reactions to the picks. So
Okay,
we
give
started,
me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
I got it. We started Najee. I think we feel good about that. Case went Gus Edwards. I think it was the wrong pick, personally. I think Gus Edwards is a one-year wonder, and this is not a one-year league, and he should have taken Javonte Williams.
Dude, he's got to win this year. Who else you want him to pick?
It doesn't matter, dude. If you have to win this year, you're not going to win this year.
That's ridiculous.
He could have drafted Chase and then traded away for someone who's more ready this year. You know, like it's the number 2 overall pick.
I agree.
I just think if you're in win now mode, Gus Edwards isn't moving the needle for you.
I agree with Jeff, and I think Christian's going to say the same thing. I just don't think he has. I don't think he has a top 4 team at the moment.
Oof. Top 4?
I don't think he has a top 4 team. I'd rather my team. I'd rather Jeff's team. I'd rather DeVito's team. I'd rather Darian's team.
His running backs are very good.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes,
Derrick
they are.
Henry's rushed the ball 300 times the last 2 years. You're that confident Derrick Henry's been? Sure, his team is that good. I agree that he has a good team. I'm worried about his team. I don't think Gus Edwards is that good that he's going to move the needle.
He's a
I mean,
starting
where's
tailback.
8 starters, Mike?
Yeah, I think that starting tailback in the NFL is valuable.
Yeah,
Plain and simple.
Jones,
No, I'm not
Eckler,
saying it's not
Carson,
valuable.
Henry.
Guys, I'm not- so
Zeke.
go by I have the 1, 3, 5, 7 tier for
Okay,
what grade
draft-
you give someone. Is he a
Draft
3?
board's back open. Draft
Is he
board's
a
back.
3 or a 5?
Oh,
Gus Edwards.
5.
He's
Three.
a 3. He's a 3.
5,
Javonte
Lloyd?
Williams.
Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5. I'm going the other way. Yeah, 3. Sorry.
3. He's a 3.
right,
Javonte
guys.
Williams at the end of the year has an opportunity to be a 5.
If you look at the draft board right now, you have the draft board's back open for this year, so you can see all the picks that happen. And then if you go to the roster, you can see I've added them in order by as they were picked.
Got it.
So you can see like Breen made the most picks. So like
Yep.
it's in order underneath that. I
All right,
probably
so
I messed up
let's
something.
Let's
but-
keep going first round. I just want to know people's reactions. Surprised, not surprised. DeLuca wasn't surprised because he picked the first one. So
Nailed it.
Jamar Chase, I think no one's surprised. Javonte Williams, I think no one's surprised. To Darian, Trey Sermon falls to you.
Wait, hold on. Before we go any further, Ennis, Javonte Williams, because you're a Ravens fan? I mean, because you're a Broncos fan?
No.
no.
Easy.
Really? Nothing
Easy.
played into that.
No, he's probably talent, the most talented running back in that class.
Interesting.
No.
And I'll
Jeff,
tell you-
no. Jeff.
I'll tell you right now, if Case didn't take Edwards, I was taking him, Dud.
No,
Really?
Dan. No,
Come
you
on,
weren't.
I'm glad he did then. That would have been
Thank
awful.
God. If you took Gus Edwards, I would have called you Ross all season.
No,
That was
I'm
an
not.
awful pick.
What I'm saying, I was taking. I wasn't taking Gus. I was taking who Duddy took.
Oh. You're
I
saying
was.
okay, I get it.
I would have
That's-
taken him with the third. And
That's the right pick. But Jeff, you don't really think he's more talented than Najee Harris. That's a ridiculous comment.
Yeah, athletically, I do.
Wow.
No, you don't. So
I do. I think ETN was the most athletic before he got hurt, the best all-around talent out of the running backs that came out, and I thought Williams was second.
So to Darian, number 5, both DeLuca and I called this. Sermon falls to you. As easy as we thought the pick was, or do you have other guys in mind?
It's about the easiest pick we could peg.
Felt like an easy pick.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Easy pick.
Did you listen to the podcast at all, Darian? How did you feel when you were just spotlighted on that pick?
Just nailed it. We nailed it.
So, yeah, he nailed it. I don't have much else to say.
So then
I
said
from the
Breen,
start-
I think we were pretty surprised Breen took one.
We took.
I will say sorry. Go ahead.
Did
Yeah,
you think you were
fair.
going to take Waddle?
No.
Oh.
I thought ATN was the best player in the draft, and I thought
too.
Pitts was number 2.
Oh.
So the question you had was, it was between potentially Sermon and Pitts. If you didn't have Mostert, would you have taken Pitts?
So I think Pitts is the better player, but it's harder to get tailbacks.
Yeah.
So I was like, when it's a toss-up, you go tailback.
No,
I
that
think
feels like
Pitts,
your draft history seems to speak that in volumes, like year to year and pick to pick. So then we had Breen. Were we surprised Breen took Waddle?
Yeah, I'm surprised Breen first of all made the pick. I thought that he was going to trade out of it, and then to pick a wide receiver, I really thought he was going to go Dylan.
But he got Dylan. I mean, he got Dylan in the second round. I was a little surprised Breen took Waddle. It didn't feel like a Breen pick. It didn't feel like a Breen pick to me.
No, that's a DeLuca pick all over.
If not him, then who did you think?
I would have thought Devonta Smith before he picked Waddle.
Who did we have him taken last time?
You had A.J. Dillon. I had Gus Edwards.
Oh, yeah. Well, neither of those worked out. Yeah.
But you think Breen should have taken Waddle, Jeff? I can tell by the way you're saying that. You like the Waddle pick.
I think they're both there. It's a crapshoot. Flip a coin between the two of them.
Lloyd, you do like the Waddle, but you think
both of the quarterbacks are questionable.
Yeah, you think Waddle's good, Lloyd.
I do. I like him better than Devonta Smith.
I thought I agree with Lloyd. I thought when all those guys were there 2 years ago, Waddle, Ruggs, Devontae, who was the fourth guy?
Judy.
There was another guy too.
Judy.
Yeah, I thought that Waddle was the most talented out of all of them.
Interesting. So I thought then after that, I thought Spates had two solid picks. I don't think they help his team this year. I thought Devonta Smith and Kyle Pitts were the next two picks. So I agree that Pitts was a really great talent. Do you think Kyle Pitts will have better stats than any of these guys? Like, what are his stats going to be? What do you think his numbers are this year, Jay? Can he get 10 touchdowns?
He could have the best year out of any of those wideouts that could take him first round.
So you think Kyle Pitts could have a better statistical season, not like for a tight end, compared to Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I make that bet? Can we bet that?
No.
I'll make a bet with someone right now. I want to make a bet with someone right now. I will make the assumption that they play.
Well, Mike, hold on. They were contemplating whether or not to give him wide receiver status on Yahoo. Like they think he's going to be a wide receiver in a year.
I'm not arguing what they think. I'm asking the four of you.
So we're saying fantasy points, right? Total
fantasy points. I don't care what position you are. You think you think at the end of the season, Kyle Pitts has more fantasy points than Devonta Smith?
He could. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I know he could. So what? I'll bet that with. Does anyone want to bet that with me?
Yep.
One. Yeah. What's the bet?
I'll take it.
$50, Pete, $50.
All right, no, we'll work out a bet later, but we don't need to do that on the air. But
let's do beer bet. I think Devonta Smith has more fantasy points than Kyle Pitts.
No, we're not. I'm not making any bets. But
Spate's got both of them. Spate's got both of them, Mike.
That's insane. Here's what I thought. I think my favorite snipe of the entire draft was Spates taking Pitts with the second first. I saw that coming.
You said it.
I saw that coming 3 years away. I was like, I know that kid. That's because Spates. You don't forget, Spates had Tony Gonzalez all those years, didn't he?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you had to start a tight end.
When you had to start a tight end. But still, that sticks with you. And tight ends are valuable to some managers and not to others. And Spates is one that I thought they were valuable to. I remember he had Shockey. I remember that was one that really stood out to me. Spates always seems like a tight end guy. So I mean, when Pitts fell, I was like, I would love him at the 9, but I don't think he's getting by the 8.
Do you want to elaborate more on Spates being a tight end?
Lloyd, what do you got? Come on, Duddy.
I think that if they're smart, they would. I love this. I think they're smart. They almost do kind of like what they did with Hernandez. Like I feel like he's going to be that type of a tight end where he can kind of go to the outside sometimes and stuff because he has the speed. I don't think he's going to be like a true blocking tight end. I think he's even more like a wide receiver tight end.
All right, Lloyd, I agree with you. I'm going to do a Google search. I want to know what Aaron Hernandez's best statistical season was.
He had to have over 1,000 yards one year, right? He was 1,000 yards.
Yeah, definitely.
He must have been.
This is a live podcasting game.
Terrible. Yeah. What great on-air content, Mike.
Guys, I agree with
someone
you.
Google Aaron Hernandez's career stats right now.
I agree with you.
His best year was 2011, and he had 79 catches.
Yep.
910 yards.
Yep.
And 7 touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying.
But you take away Gronk from that equation, he would have been. They don't have another tight end like that. That's going to take away the touchdown.
Would you guys say that
Kyle Pitts could be that this season?
Would you guys say that Hernandez's worst year?
Yards.
Would you guys say that Hernandez's worst year was 2017?
Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe 18. All right. So there's a big question. I'm pumped that I didn't know who was going to join this podcast. I'm glad the people who joined. Because to me, DeLuca, you and I debated this. Travis Etienne, to me, was huge upside pick.
didn't think he was going to go in the first round.
I also did not think he was going to the first round, but someone on the call right now picked him in the first round.
Thank you for joining.
So, Darian,
I
you're
gotta
up
hear
at
this
10. ETN's on the board. If you want to go for a season now, AJ Dillon's on the board. For some reason, DeVita picked Tevin Coleman, but there's guys on the board who could help you this season, and you pick ETN, and you have a good roster. Tell us why.
So I've never had the number one pick ever. And
That's a humble brag. That's a
Really? Wait.
never had the number one pick.
Ever?
I'm
Like
getting,
overall?
ever.
Wow.
And I'm getting, in my opinion, the best guy in this year's draft. It's hard. I'm not humble bragging here. My pick next year is going to be in the lower half. I never have the opportunity to pick a stud. This year, I'm getting this year's, in my opinion, best player.
I would say this is the
If it
definition
works
of
out, great. If not, no worries.
definitely not. So let me ask you this question: if you hadn't had the 5th pick, would you have picked ETN in this draft?
Yes.
You would have. So you would have made the pick for future thing. And do you worry that you essentially lost a chip that could help you win back-to-back titles?
Nope.
You don't.
Christian, how high would you have picked ETN?
Great question.
Probably around 8.
So you think if you were at your pick and for some reason Sermon went, that you thought the top 5 was clean enough that you would have picked,
Wow.
whether it was Harris, Edwards, Chase, Williams, any of those guys, you would have picked 5 and you wouldn't have picked ETN.
I would have picked Pitts.
You would have picked Pitts. Okay. So once all those guys fell to you, it was a
fascinating.
clear
This is
delineation
fascinating.
after that.
Christian, if
sorry?
say Casey didn't take Gus Edwards at 2, and say he took Chase, Williams goes to Lloyd, I take Sermon, would you have taken Pitts or Gus Edwards?
Oh,
Pitts.
Pitts. Wow.
I
you guys
love
like-
Pitts. I'm glad
guys
to hear
like
that
Pitts.
Christian's on Pitts.
You guys like
Because
Pitts way more.
That
than
really
I like
does. That really does make me feel like I do take a lot of. I think Christian's opinion holds a lot of water on guys. So when I hear that Pitts was somebody that he was targeting, it does make me feel good. Mike, I can't believe that you didn't have him in the first round. I was really beside myself.
I think Lloyd had the right doppelganger where I think he's like Hernandez. And Hernandez never had 1,000 yards and never had 10 touchdowns. I just worry these guys who are inline players, they have to block too much. I'll believe it when I see it. When is the last time that a rookie tight end came in and produced the first season? Never.
Shocky.
No, I think it's Gates probably.
Right, but he's like 1 in a million,
yeah.
that guy. Okay, so that's the first
So-
round. I think most of the first round, I think it was decent chalk. So like DeLuca, you take Chenault, which we talked about being a thing. To me, the second round is where it got interesting because we had literally no idea where it was going.
Hold on. Before you proceed
Go.
with that, if Pitts had a WR next to his name instead of a TE, how do you see him?
But I think they would play him differently. I don't think you could see him the same.
Great question.
I don't think I don't think you can say that. So if you're telling me, so if Kyle Pitts was the second receiver and was going to be split out wide and never blocked, I think he'd be an easy first round pick, but he's not.
An easy first round pick. You don't think he's better than Jamar Chase?
No.
But Mike, you were so high on Russell Gage, and you don't see like if like Kyle Pitts could be Russell Gage, like what you're thinking of. Like
No,
that
but he's
number
not
2.
Russell Gage.
But
Russell
he,
Gage
but
is
he could be.
to
Like
me,
they could move him out there so easily.
Yeah, but they could, but he's also going to be inline blocking. That's my problem. Like, let's just
For
say,
who? They're not a run first team.
but they're going to run. It doesn't matter if you run first or not run fourth. Let's just say the Falcons have a game where they play 100 offensive plays. Okay.
Mhm.
Even if you say they'll split Pitts out wide, there's going to be a quarter of the plays where Pitts isn't out wide. He's blocking or he's in line. And so now you have 3/4 of the plays. And so my only problem is just the pie when you have a tight end gets smaller. That's my only
I don't
problem.
know, man.
I'm not even. I think Pitts is awesome. I think if I have
Yeah, I
a
know.
tight end league,
I know you do. That's what's get lost. Everyone like he's a great talent. That's not what's
that's not.
lost
I'm
about
not.
it.
And if
It's
we
just
had
where
a
it
tight
fits.
end league, if we had
Yeah.
a league where you needed to play a tight end, if Kyle Pitts is in the first round, I'd easily pick Kyle Pitts.
I think
he's a
throwing
top
positions
4
out the
tight end
windows,
this
man.
season.
If you're gonna who's gonna fall in the end zone? Kyle Pitts is gonna fall in the end zone a lot, and that I don't care what position you play. And so that's what I thought. You know, like if you hit pay dirt,
Maybe
I'll put you on the
maybe.
roster. I don't care if you play
My
kicker.
preference for my draft picks is I want to get people who I think have volume to get targets, not luck to fall in the end zone. And so I bet you at the end of the season, I don't think there's a big difference between the number of targets Russell Gage gets and the number of targets Kyle Pitts gets. I don't think the difference is that big.
Oof. Mike, we got to start formulating some sort of like bet system, because you got a couple takes that I do not agree with, and I would have murdered you in the first round draft. So let's just start there.
But I'm not saying, hold on. I'm not saying Russell Gage is better than Kyle Pitts. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if at the end of the season you look at how many targets they get, targets equal receptions, I would bet you Russell Gage is not that far away from Kyle Pitts, assuming everybody's healthy, that the target share is not that different.
Okay. And I'm saying that I think that Pitts's red zone targets and the probability of him falling into the end zone make him
Sure.
a first round pick in this draft. And if he gets wide receiver eligibility, which doesn't make sense, which doesn't really benefit this league, but he should be in that category.
Sure.
But agree to disagree. I agree with you.
Understand what you're saying. I'm not planning for that.
Mike,
so then second round, we get, not big surprise.
Ennis, what the?
He's fine. AJ Dillon, first pick of the second round. Classic brain pick. And then we had what I thought were two of the most random picks. I thought the Tevin Coleman pick Tevin Coleman was probably, in my opinion, the worst pick of the draft.
Yeah, I love Andy, but we all kind of double taked on it. I feel bad.
And then Lloyd picking Michael Carter. I'm fine with the pick because it's Lloyd.
I wish Spates joined the podcast. I would love to hear from him. But yeah, what is this?
It's a gift from Zoom.
Wow.
You okay?
We'll find out if it kicks me off.
Whatever. All right. Lloyd, Michael Carter. A lot of bad news about him.
Tons.
What were you thinking?
I like him.
Really?
I like him.
All right.
I do.
Fake news.
Why?
Fake news, Pete. Fake news.
I think he'll be starting. This is what was really killing me is the Jets have a ton of talent and they have a new coaching staff. So I know the ownership is terrible and they haven't been good for a long time, but I just think he'll be the feature back there, and took a little bit of a gamble, but
I hear nothing but bad news about him.
I didn't mind the pick. I just don't think there's not great rookie running backs. I think Lloyd's planning for the future. I texted Lloyd, I think in the second round, that he should pick Cam Akers, and you have to get him like the fifth round. So to me, anything Lloyd does that optimizes for the future, to me, is a good pick. That's the way I felt about it.
Oh, yeah.
But then we had Spates taking Michael Pittman. I tried to trade for this pick. I didn't want Michael Pittman, but I tried to trade for this pick. I think good pick. Michael Pittman.
Who are you looking for at the pick?
Who was I looking for?
Yeah.
Come on. This is why I get upset, because the league's going to get mad at me.
Well, I mean, the draft's over. You can tell.
I was trying to get Darnell Mooney.
Why didn't you just talk to me about it? We probably
I didn't know. It was one of those things I didn't really look after the fact.
I would have just gave them to you. Honestly,
I know.
I'm
But
sorry to the 2.5 other people on this podcast, but if Mike just said to me, "Hey, I want Darrell Mooney," I would have been like,
"Sure." I would have got him for a 5th round pick. I agree. I didn't really look at that. I didn't do enough research beforehand. I didn't know if you cut him. But let's go to the draft. So Pittman goes, Fields goes.
This was a secret. I don't know what happened, man. I must have violated league rules at some point, because Darrell Mooney got cut and 3 people didn't know about it.
No, I know. People didn't do enough research.
So, Mike, how about Michael Pittman?
Loved it.
Probably this year gives Spates more production than Pitts and Devontae Smith.
That's your take?
I could see it.
I 100% agree with that take.
Yeah.
To me, that was Spates' best pick. If Spates is trying to win this year, based off my rankings, I don't actually think Spates' team is that good, but I think Michael Pittman will help his team more than Smith or Pitts this season.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
I thought that was Spates' best pick of the whole draft.
Yeah.
I thought the next round, to me, Spates, he's interesting because he makes some really good picks. I thought Pittman was a great pick.
He's opposite ends, man.
I thought Gronkowski was an awful pick.
But he's got a soft spot for Gronk. He likes Gronk.
Yeah, but it's an awful pick. How many targets?
6'7". They're both 6'7". You got to go with the height.
But Rob Gronkowski's going to get what? 50 targets, maybe the whole season?
Yeah, if that.
But then at
Yeah.
the same time, I like the Burrow pick. I think Burrow's a smart pick. I think this is probably his last year with Rodgers, and
Mhm.
Burrow gives it. But to me, the Spates' best pick was Pittman.
Yeah, what's the plan after he doesn't have Rodgers? That's what I want to know because
Joe Burrow.
Lloyd, you might not know this, but Spates drafted like Peyton Manning like first overall when we started the league or something like
He
that,
did.
like near
He
the
did.
top. And he held on to Peyton Manning for like 15 years, and then he had Rodgers come in, and then Rodgers has been his quarterback. So the kid's
For
only
years.
ever had to think about two quarterbacks ever. So Spates changing his quarterback is like seeing Haley's Comet. Like it's like, and so you think Burrow might be the guy, Kaleli? That's
Yeah,
what
I
you
think Burrow's is the guy. I think
What
Burrow's.
do you
the guy.
think, Christian? Do you think he looked at Burrow's the guy, or is there a bigger play there?
I don't have anything just to add to that.
That's
I don't
okay.
think Burrow's that great. I will say Peyton Manning 1-1 overall. Unbelievable. The first ever pick. of
Was it? It was
this league.
1-1, right?
1-1-1-1-1. He is
Wow.
that guy.
Wow.
How did
I-
Spates get the first overall
He
pick?
never,
That's what I
never
wanna
won
know.
with him there. He never won a title.
Never
with-
won with Peyton Manning. Never won with him.
So
Really?
He doesn't win very often.
if we're talking about quarterbacks in that round, I was torn between Mac Jones and Joe Burrow. And going back to my philosophy where I don't like guys coming off of injury, I decided to go with Mac Jones, which I know is early, but I needed a quarterback for the future.
I loved it.
I like the
loved
pick,
it.
Dan. I like the fact that you got Cam Akers around later. Maybe like the pick more, but I like the pick.
Yeah, maybe I might be a sucker for all of this, but I like buy into the Pats hype all like incredibly. I was gonna take Mac Jones if he was there at like the very end and just put him on the end of my bench because I think he's hilarious.
There's,
So I,
Pete,
you know,
there's a couple places I want to go. So, Duddy, you made a move. You traded what seemed like a lot
Ooh.
to grab a second round pick to take Marcus Callaway.
Yeah.
Why?
So I all the picks that I had, I was gonna draft more guys than my roster could fit.
And so, did
Yeah.
you hold on a second? Before, so you had the first pick of the third round,
And the second pick of the third round.
and you had 3 picks between where
Yep.
you made the move. So Casey had second round, 8th pick, and then you had not Casey. Someone traded that to Darian. Did you think one of those guys was taking Callaway, or did you just think
I
I have
did.
too many? I have too many spots.
I thought it wasn't worth me to risk when I had so much draft capital and I couldn't keep all those guys. It wasn't worth me risking him going if I liked him. I think he's a number one receiver. I don't know how talented he is, but he's a number one receiver on a team that's probably going to throw the ball. So why not move 2 picks to go up and get a guy you like?
Okay, and you felt like that wasn't too much capital.
Probably was. But if I didn't offer him too much in the moment, he wouldn't have said yes.
True. All right, so let me take us to the third round then. Third round to Darian. It was pretty obvious to me you were taking a quarterback. You didn't keep one. You didn't pick one. Trevor Lawrence went. Walk us through Hurts. Why Hurts? What else were you contemplating, and what were you thinking at that pick?
Also, was Trevor Lawrence on your radar too? Kaleli brought that up, and I said, "There's no way."
Never.
No,
Thank you.
Lawrence's hair is too nice to Darian. He would feel like he's
Exactly. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So what was the pick? Take us through the pick. What was the thought? Because that pick took you a long time to make.
Oh,
Yeah, there just wasn't much on the board at that point. There was no one really jumped out. I needed a quarterback. I think at that point it was Tannehill, Hurts, or I had been eyeing Tua. And I think Hurts has a little bit higher upside than Tannehill. And I thought I could get Tannehill a round or 2 later. He's steady Eddie. No one was really gonna steal him. So I went with Hurts.
Who
Oh.
took Tannehill? DeVita?
DeVita took him in the next round, right?
Yeah. No, 2 rounds.
He took him in round 5.
Took him in round 5. See, I think
mean,
Jalen
I
Hurts.
still-
I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback at the beginning of the season.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
love
I
Jalen.
might still not have a quarterback. I have two wild cards at quarterback.
No,
so
I
who
think
knows?
the beginning of the season, Hurts will start at the beginning of the season. Hurts will start at the beginning of the season.
Wait,
To
who,
me-
who are the 2 quarterbacks? Who do you have?
Hurts and Tua.
Hurts and Tua. Yeah, that is definitely rolling the dice.
I told you last night I had a quarterback I was targeting. The guy I was targeting was Trey Lance. He
Really,
is,
you like him that much? I
yeah,
thought
I think
Fields maybe.
I think he's exactly what we talk about. Super
Really?
athletic, run first quarterback, and I don't think that they picked him third. I don't think Garoppolo's their quarterback by week 8.
Great
So-
offensive coach too, Mike.
Great offensive coach. And so to me, if Kyler gets hurt, I'm screwed. Like there's nothing I can do. And so the only option I have is to try to find a guy who has as much upside as Kyler. And the only player in the draft to me was Trey Lance.
But I think Shanahan is such a good offensive coach.
I'll
so
take
you
that
saw-
back, Mike.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I disagree with you saying the only guy you saw in the draft with the upside was Lance. I do think Justin Fields has a ton
Me
of
too.
upside.
Me too. I agree with that. I shouldn't say that. Fields and Lance are the two biggest upsides because of their running ability. The athletic.
Sorry.
And I said to myself going into the draft, I said, if Lance is there in the 3rd round, I got to take him. And
You didn't?
I didn't know. Bateman was there, and I thought he was like the 3rd best receiver in the draft. I really, really liked him. So I didn't think you were gonna with Murray. I didn't think you were gonna take a young quarterback there. So I was like, I could probably get him in the next round. I looked to see who everyone had, and you surprised me by taking him there.
Lloyd, just one thing to know about me. Chess, baby. Chess. I'm playing chess.
You've been watching too much Hard Knocks.
Tavon Austin, he was.
I don't
playing
watch
chess
hard
the
knocks.
other
I don't
night.
watch hard knocks. No, I played Tavon and I was too aggressive. My queen got sniped too early in that game.
Exactly.
All right, so let's wrap it up because we've been on this call for a while. Any late round picks that you thought were good value, good steal, people grab, surprises, and then we'll cut out. I want to be off in 10 minutes. Innes loved one of my picks. Loved Gabe Davis.
I can start if you want.
Go
I
ahead, Pete.
thought that Spates did a really good job with Randall Cobb. I know that kind of during the draft I made a couple comments, but I think Randall Cobb late is a good pick. Dude, he's got Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers requested the guy to come back to the team. So I definitely had Cobb on my radar as somebody that I wanted to fill in. I thought Larkin with Akers, it was a fantastic pick. That's exactly what you need to do. And I thought that made sense. And then he traded Saquon. So I was like 2 check marks for Lloyd. I thought that he had a great night as well. The other really late pick that I liked Cully taking Sammy Watkins late. I know that I mentioned that on the podcast, but that's kind of how I feel. I think that the guy that had the worst draft, unfortunately, was my cousin. I love Andy, and I think that he's the greatest guy in the entire world, but he didn't even draft 16 guys. It's just kind of rough to back that. But he's a sweet guy. So, but that's kind of how I feel. I think Spates made a great pick. I think Larkin, you did a great job tonight. Thank you for everything. And
Thank you guys.
yeah, and that's kind of my opinion.
All right. Innes, any analysis on the late round picks and the
I
overall?
mean, I don't think this guy's electric by any means. He's not winning anyone in the league, but I thought in, the 8th round, Mark Ingram as a guy who's actually going to carry
Thanks, dude.
was a pretty solid pick. Like he's not going to be a keeper. You're not going to have him on your roster next year. Maybe even week 3, you might not have him, knowing Pete. But I think, he's a guy that's actually going to get carries. I thought Sammy Watkins, like Pete said, and then I don't know, maybe Traquan Smith. I mean, somebody's got to catch passes in New Orleans as a 7th round pick. Not bad.
Yep.
Yeah, that was late. It was late.
Lloyd, any thoughts? Late round picks, reactions to the draft, your
Liked-
overall experience?
I like Dud's 6th round pick there with St. Brown. I like him. And the other one, which again I was torn by, but getting Joe Burrow in the 5th round, I think that's a steal for a former number 1 overall pick. I mean, an ACL injury for a quarterback is not like any other position. Especially a guy he never really was going to be sprinting around running the ball. So if he bounces back from that, he's got a couple of great receivers. He's got one of his old college receivers who he played really well with. So I think there's a lot of upside there if he pans out. You know that they're going to be throwing first and not running. So I think that was a great pick.
Yeah. To Darren, I'll give you the last word. Thoughts on the late round picks, draft overall? Where do you think things stand?
I'm gonna go back to Innes and just say I don't like it. I didn't like the Dak trade. I think Najee Harris is overrated. Javonte Williams doesn't do much for me. Not impressed.
It is a rebuttal.
Nothing to say. I mean,
Christian
has bad first round running back picks in the past, and it's tough to judge. It's tough to judge talent,
Fair.
Oh man, classic.
Christian, if you had Innis's first overall and fourth overall, what would you have done?
Ooh.
Good question. Pete.
I think first overall, I would have. Yeah, I guess you get. I would very strongly consider Jamar Chase at number one, but I guess you got to go Najee Harris.
So
Just
you would have
backed
done it
into
even though
a
you
corner, I
didn't.
guess.
You didn't think so.
I'm sorry.
So you would have done it even though you didn't think that it was a pick that you would necessarily agreed with.
Yeah, you got to do it, but he just doesn't excite me.
Innis, did you feel that way about Najee Harris?
Yeah, I mean, if we were redrafting, he's probably going in the first round. Just based on workload.
But did you like him, or do you like him just out of convenience?
No, I don't like him as a player. I didn't like him coming out.
Gotcha.
It just feels like one of those guys that just because of opportunity. I thought if any of these other guys had gone to the Steelers instead, I would have been more excited. Like ETN, even Williams. I actually like Sermon a lot.
Yeah,
I think he fits that offense perfectly, and it's just a matter of time till Mostert goes down.
At any point in the offseason, did you think about trading the first overall pick?
Not really, no, because everyone that was offering stuff wanted guys with it, and it just didn't make sense because then I was giving up I have all young backs, right? So it's just a matter of holding on and hope someone hits, and giving up Harris and another guy just didn't make sense for me.
I got one more question. What was the thought behind getting Dak Prescott when you thought like you're clearly rebuilding and all of a sudden Dak Prescott's a top 5 back? Like, why did you say this is the time, Mike? Right after this.
Wait.
Okay.
I don't agree with your statement that Jeff's rebuilding. Go ahead, Jeff.
So
I don't listen. It's a loose term. He's going to be competitive. I think there's a lot of competitive teams.
So I think I could finish 9 this year, or I could have a chance at making the playoffs and run the table.
Join the club. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I feel like out of anyone's team that you look at, mine has the biggest variability.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. So with Dak, you just thought maybe.
Upside.
So I was competitive last year until Dak got hurt. Because of Dak, he was a monster. And I think with the guys that could pop this year, 3 to 4 young running backs, 3 receivers, one that I think is going to be really good, pairing him with Dak for the double points.
That's it.
I could steal some weeks.
What happened with Dak last year? Why did you get rid of him? What happened?
So it was actually really bad. I cut him thinking nobody would pick him up, and I pick him back up at the end of the year. Didn't work out. I was planning on Joe Burrow being the franchise. He got hurt. So it was just bad management, if I'm being honest.
Gotcha.
But I love the double points. Had McNabb and T.O. and won a couple.
Gotta love the double points.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotcha.
I got 2 more comments that we haven't mentioned. So I'm just reading through the pickup. I think there's one team that I'm surprised the amount of quality guys they got, and one team where I'm surprised how few impact players they got. I think Breen got a ton of quality guys. Like, I just look at who he picked. Paris Campbell could be a solid player. Brian Edwards could be a solid player. Ramondre Stevenson could be a solid. He just has guys who I'm like, boy, these guys could hit in a way that he has a bunch of folks here. You have 2 guys on Breen's team who he didn't pick, but
I thought that with Casey, Mike.
And so the other side, Case, I feel the same way. I feel the
Gus
same way.
Edwards, Moore, Curtis Samuel in the 3rd round was a good pick.
So the guy who I didn't think made, other than the maybe Justin Fields hitting, I don't like any of the impact picks DeVito made.
Yeah, I was just
and he was the guy who I really liked coming in the keeper side, but so he has Justin Fields, who could be great, but he would be his backup quarterback. Noah Fant, you know how I feel about tight ends, and he's their 4th receiving option. Tyrell Williams on an awful offense, like Phil Lindsay, maybe, but like it's the text. And so I look at who he picked up, and I'm like,
let me defend Steve DeVito for 2 seconds.
Yeah, go.
Because he didn't make a 1st round pick.
Sure.
He doesn't really value the draft.
Sure.
This isn't his game plan. His game plan is I'm gonna make a couple quality picks here and there, and I'm gonna be active throughout the season. Steve DeVito will be one of the guys that hits you up for a trade first. Sure. Steve DeVito will be second in moves behind me. I agree with you. He picked some really bad people, but this isn't like if he biffs this draft, who cares? It's not his game plan. His game plan is I want to make moves throughout the season.
Sure, game plan or not game plan, you can still make better picks.
Yeah. Fields, I kind of question because get him later, you know.
But who was on the board that he should have taken that could have impacted his team this year instead of Fields?
For Fields, hold on, let me go back to the draft. So when he picked Fields, the picks after Fields.
Nobody's jumping out to me.
Why?
took
Darnell,
Fields?
Darnell Mooney's a legit player. Marcus
Yeah.
Callaway's a legit player. TJ Hawkinson's a legit player. Curtis, like all these guys are guys who he could have had, who made an impact on his roster.
Michael Gallup. Yeah.
Like these are guys. Are they great players? No. Do they have the upside of Justin Fields? No. But like his ninth guy is Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's weird. And then he took Gainwell after that, so that really does it. But then he took Noah Fant after that, so he's not afraid of tight ends. I don't know. It was kind of it was an odd pick to be. I remember when it stuck out when he made the pick. I said, "Whoa, a quarterback," and so it stuck out to me. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but
Yeah, that's how I felt. All right, it's 11:30.
It's just another franchise that just kills quarterbacks and people. I feel.
I
like.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely.
I agree with you.
I love Fields, but it's just that franchise. It's like I don't know. They just
right. You don't see him. He's not gonna. I don't know. He'll be like average. Like he's not gonna be great. Like he'll be all right.
Yep.
He has the athleticism to do it, but
All right, guys, it's 11:30 at night.
Don't you think he's better on paper if they're both starting week 1 than Jalen Hurts?
no. I love Jalen Hurts.
No,
Yeah, I do. I do.
You haven't been
I
listening
do.
to the pod.
I do.
As a
But he's
player.
not starting week 1.
Yes, he is. Who do you think is starting in Philly?
Oh,
No,
I
no,
thought you meant
Hurts
Justin
is
Fields.
starting.
I'm not Justin Fields. I'm not Justin.
Oh, yeah, Fields definitely.
If they both start week 1, I don't know who either team is playing, but I'd rather have Fields than Hurts.
Yeah, me too.
Oh man, I like Hurts. a lot.
Like Jalen Hurts isn't very good. Like
No.
he can't throw the ball.
No,
Yeah, he's awful. He's my kind of quarterback.
he can't throw the ball. All right, guys, let's go. It's
Like,
11:30.
Joe Webb.
It's 11:30. Let's sign off.
Whew.
Last words.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great job.
thanks
tonight,
for
guys. Thank you for joining.
Lloyd,
Good luck,
welcome to the
everyone.
league, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
I'll
Good
post
luck.
this.
See you.
Mike, send it to me, right?
I'll send it to you. See ya.
All right, see you guys.